Well, I think President Trump's relationship with Mohammed bin Salman, and I think his relationship essentially with Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other countries, I think is strong, and I think that will benefit any peace negotiations that can possibly happen with respect to Ukraine. But I think it also cements a stronger relationship in the Middle East for the United States. I'm not sure how this is going to affect the situation in Gaza and with Israel, but I think that from a long-term standpoint, this is a very positive relationship.
So let's talk about what to expect on the Ukraine front. We know that President Trump paused military aid and intelligence sharing with Kyiv after his meeting with Zelensky at the White House that went nuclear. What do you think Secretary Rubio's objective is in these meetings?
Well, I'm not sure. I think obviously he wants to be able to get the Ukrainians to agree to some kind of a discussion on what kind of territory they would have to give up, what kind of terms it would be for this kind of an agreement with Putin and Russia. I'm wondering whether or not they would bring up at all the 2022 meetings that were held in Turkey, the Istanbul Communique, as it is called. I think that would be a positive element from which to start off with, and I think that there are opportunities to look at how the Europeans are also going to face this. I don't think you can leave them out. I think the Europeans have to have a voice in this. So I think that hopefully Secretary Rubio will then transfer these conversations over to the European community and have a discussion with them about it.
And of course, on the sidelines of all of this, what we're also going to see is President Zelensky meeting with MBS during these US-Ukraine talks. What do you think Kyiv needs from Riyadh?
Well, he needs for them to facilitate the conversation in a more positive way, and not to let the United States be the only actor and the only one with a voice here. I think Ukraine has to have a strong voice, and that's why I think President Zelensky also has to invoke the other European countries further into these discussions into the future, and hopefully persuade the Crown Prince to broaden the dialogue with the European countries. They have a great stake in this, and certainly the Balkan countries have a great stake in this as well. So I'm hopeful that this will broaden the discussion, and that that Russia will acknowledge that there are forces, strong forces, with the Crown Prince and Saudi Arabia trying to get a resolution to this conflict, that hopefully he will come to the table and do something meaningful here.
Ambassador, is it reasonable to expect that we will see intelligence sharing and military aid being resumed for Ukraine, or is that a non-starter for President Trump at this point? Just give me your back-of-the-napkin read on how the president is actually viewing this situation now. What's your view?
I think eventually he will restore the intelligence and the other support to Ukraine. I think this is part of his negotiating tactic to try to get the Ukrainians to accept this. Dan, I was thinking about this as I listened to the conversation at the Oval Office. One thing that struck me was that President Zelensky's English, while very good, it's still a little rough, and there's a difficulty in sometimes understanding what he is saying and making his voice clearer. I think he would be better off with an interpreter that would, in a very more sophisticated way, outline the kinds of points he's trying to make. For example, on the issue of thanking the United States, I think he could have done a better job of saying, yes, we're very grateful, et cetera, et cetera. And I think an interpreter would have done a better job of that. I think part of this is communications, and you have a meeting with a large number of press people there and the world looking at this. I think it went south really fast, and for obvious reasons.